If you are here, then I guess you have goals to chase in life. Because why do we even feel exhausted? Why do we suffer first? Why do we actually suffer while chasing these goals, while chasing any type of goal, wealth, love, or success? Is it because of discipline? Is it because we are lacking a skill? Is it because we are not very consistent or not very disciplined? Why does it make us suffer when we reach the goal? We don't get the feeling. We don't get the feeling that we have reached the destination yet. We want more. We seek more. We want more when we finally reach there. Why is it so painful? Why is it so painful to understand what makes us, what actually satisfies our soul? So let's explore it. First is I wanted to think about the scenario. So let's say you come home from 9 to 5 that drained you, so you crash and take a nap. But when you wake up, you're not rested. You just don't feel rested yet. You just heavy, drowsy, and foggy. But it's next day, the clock is ticking. 8 a.m. is coming, so you grab your phone and scroll to shock your brain awake. Force breakfast down and drag yourself to work. At night, you look up at the sky and ask, what am I doing? Who am I even doing this for? Okay, there's nothing so wrong with your body feeling exhausted, because the fatigue is not just a system error. Your body is actually saying that it's tired because your mind is tired. Mind is not tired by the work. It is a valid, right? It is a valid response when your brain is tired and so is your body. And it is showing a massive gap that exists. Achieving another materialistic goal will never make it disappear. So it's not rest you're missing, it's clarity. And if this fatigue isn't a physical failure, then we can't really blame the exhaustion for making you ask the question, what am I doing and who am I even doing this for? The real question isn't why you are tired. The only question that remains is, where did this relentless urge to chase come from? In the first, who wrote the map we are currently running on? Who really decided that we have to chase this goal just to satisfy our soul? Who did that? Let's find out. Because the ultimate truth is, you didn't just become exhausted today. You were always exhausted. Here's why I'm saying that. Think back to before you even landed this job. Remember how worried you were about whether you would get selected or not. Or think about before you even took the test. You were worried if you're going to fail or pass. The anxiety, the tension, the constant internal pressure, it was already there long before you ever clocked in. You told yourself, once I win, once I get this job, once I crack this exam, the doubt will finally leave. But here you are, holding the exact outcome you once prayed for. That quiet voice still lingers. What am I doing with my life? Why is it seem to be never ending? Why does nothing really give me the sense of purpose in life? Why nothing really seems to fill the gap inside of me? No, it lingers because that question was never tied to physical fatigue, physical exhaustion. So you can't silence a question born from running someone else's script just by achieving another goal. So you're following someone else's script and you're questioning if you are on the right path. Of course, that's very obvious. So that question in your head exists because your destiny map wasn't written by you. Yes, it was written by surviving people in your environment. You watched your parents struggle, hustle, and at a young age, you made a silent promise. One day, I'm going to make you proud. Making your parents proud, it's a beautiful human instinct. But from the moment you landed on earth, the world programmed you to survive by manipulating the wrong variable. It told you that your worth is strictly tied to physical possessions, status, validations, and other materialistic wealth, external target. So it told you that your worth is somewhere out there outside of you, somewhere where you need to go step outside to find your self worth. So when the moment finally came to choose your own authentic path, you looked back at the innocent faces of your parents and told yourself, maybe later. Maybe when I'm done making them proud. Maybe when I'm financially stable. Maybe when I get married. By trying to fill your soul's longing, using a rigid survival script, you have your own energy into an empty void. You end up walking a path that was never going to take you where you actually want to go. Which brings us to the real problem. Why do we automatically default to these survival driven goals? Even when they clearly drain us to the point of breaking. What is the real mechanism? What is the actual mechanism behind the chase? Hmm? So we only chase something when we believe it is running away from us, when something feels completely out of our control. Our default survival instinct is to chase. We hold on to a future fantasy or a past failure, attaching ourselves so deeply to an idealized future self that our present reality becomes a delusion. That's one reason. So why? Because right now in this exact moment, so there's no structural bridge connecting you to that future. So you rely on survival driven goals because your self-worth has been programmed, has been attached to the external target. So if you tie yourself to that outside goal, you would get exhausted. That's what we are talking about. So you rely on survival driven goals as a cheap, dirty fuel. Those goals does give you a quick spike of dopamine, but that tricks your brain into thinking you're doing something meaningful. But it always loops you right back to where you started. The survival script is fundamentally rooted in a philosophy of lack. So the world programmed you by saying that you lack something. You don't have this. So you must look for it outside of you. When you start from lack, your ego goes into overdrive. It frantically learns, memorizes, and holds on to things it memorized, running on a broken belief that more is superior to less. Chasing external target is going to give you a sense of self-worth feeling. You know, you get trapped repeating the same exhausting action just to squeeze out a fleeting hit of dopamine. But what happens when you wake up to the truth? What happens when you realize that your worth, your self worth, the sense of purpose is not outside where you're looking? What lies beyond this physical container we call an avatar once we step out of the survival loop? The answer is infinite consciousness. You know, the reason you are able to watch this video, even follow a survival script, is because you have awareness. You are inside the awareness. The awareness is knowing that you are following the survivors, you're chasing something. The knowing of anything makes you aware. That's why we call you are living in a inside the awareness. So, under Dr. Bernardo Kashrup's framework of analytic idealism, the universe isn't made up of cold, dead matters. Why? The universe is a single, undivided field of living awareness. So, everything you see around you that looks like different is not really different. And your brain is just a whirlpool in that ocean. The whirlpool is what I mean by the swirling water right inside the ocean. It doesn't create the water, it just limits it, it just holds it in a shape, right? So your physical body is not a machine that creates life but an instrument, a localized antenna through which a vast consciousness flows. The infinite consciousness says you can be anything, but because you possess a limited human avatar, you must choose where to point the ship. Think about it. The world programmed you to look for your self-worth outside of human body, outside in the world somewhere. But what I'm saying is you are already complete, because if the vast consciousness is flowing through you and through the human instrument, then why do you need to prove your worth to the world when you have everything you need inside? But this human instrument possess a limited human avatar. So you must choose where you want to point your ship. So the tragedy of survival script, this tragedy of following the survival script is that it forces this infinite ocean, the ocean flowing through you through an extremely narrow, suffocating bottleneck. It takes a mind built for infinite creation and crushes it into a tiny pipe of daily anxiety, matrix chasing and fear. So when you are limited to one belief, you are actually squeezing that awareness, infinite consciousness into that narrow pipe. Okay, that is what making you exhausted, because you're trying to fit a box that was never meant for you. You're trying to fit a belief system or your ego. Okay, the ego that you say that actually protects you, that actually protects the individuality, identity you carry, is actually what making you so it's actually what making you fit inside that box, and that's why you're getting exhausted. Intelligence, creativity that we are chasing, genius, smartness, are not the things you chase outside or you look for outside. Okay, you acquire outside or earn. They are frequency you tune into. They are not something you are only you are born with, or only I am born with, or only someone is born with. Everyone inside, everyone, every human, everything you see that is moving, everything in the environment that you see is an instrument through which the vast infinite consciousness is flowing. Just as I said, look at nature. Before human invented mathematics, I'm trying to give you the meaning of what I said. Okay, what I mean when I say the infinite consciousness flowing through you and you don't need to find things outside. So before human invented mathematics, trees were already calculating geometry flawlessly. Why? Because trees are independent of us, right? Independent of human. Trees didn't require humans to prove its mathematical calculation. It was it because awareness doesn't require anyone, doesn't require to depend on anyone. The awareness exists independent of everyone, but we human being and other instrument you see outside in the world cannot exist without the awareness. It is why you are able to breathe. So this process, the feeling of it, is what you call awareness. Everything that you're doing is you, is because of awareness, is because you know you're doing it, is because you know it. The knowing of something is what you call awareness. So if you didn't know that you're alive, you would be dead. If you didn't know, so every formula you memorized in textbook, the mathematical formulas, is just a human label assigned to that same exact source. So everything in your environment you are seeing does not need you to create it because it lives independently of you. It it is an instrument through which awareness is flowing. So it doesn't actually require you to prove it, to create it, because we are itself ourselves an instrument. We are witnessing things, we are uncovering things, we are not creating things. So we have everything we have been looking for outside till now. If from this we understand that human desires are valid and the awareness are infinite, why does the act of acquiring our goals still leaves us feeling hollow, burned out when we finally win? So, since I said your brain is where everything starts, your brain is the center of from where the awareness is flowing through. Okay, so the awareness channels itself through the instrument, and the process works both way. When we follow a survival script, so when we try to squeeze the awareness into survival, into a small box, into ego driven goals or survival driven goals that makes you want to chase it. When you get it finally, you hold on to it because you fear it might leave, it might be gone if you don't hold on to it. That's what bad stuff is, because it makes us feel exhausted, it makes us feel unpleasant, right? So when you try to squeeze all that energy down to fit through a tight survival tunnel, it automatically uh, tells you that you're trying to squeeze yourself into something that you're not meant to be fit in. The good stuff is that you step back and you realize the truth that you're complete. You don't need to create, discover. You have everything you need inside of you. You're feeling every pain, every grief, every love inside yourself, within you. When you chase a goal just to prove yourself, it's like standing in a pitch black room, throwing heavy rocks into the dark, praying one of them will hit a target called being good enough. But good enough isn't outside of you. So you can't touch being good enough. You can't put other people's approval into a bank account. You can't wear a compliment like a armor. You run your engine at 200% speed, burning your health, your sleep, just to fit in the survival script that was never actually written by you, just to feed a ghost inside your machine. You have been cleaning the cockpit glass and organizing the dials, just so other pilots can see how put together you look while distracting yourself from the real crisis. Something infinite is flowing through you. How could you actually trap it in something? Energy can't be created nor can be destroyed, can be transferred. It cannot be squeezed into a box, right? But we can't actually uh, count consciousness as energy. Something we all feel. It's something that exists independently of us. It's like the sky, so it doesn't need to be translated through a dashboard inside the cockpit of an airplane just so it can prove that it exists. It just exists. It just is there. But humans need to prove that. Human needs to understand what is happening in the sky, so it needs the dashboard. So dashboard is actually an instrument that is translating the vast sky through it and telling the pilot that this is what happening and this is how you can fly the plane. And that is what we are the pilot. Our human body is the pilot and our brain is an instrument. It is translating the vast human consciousness when we are alive. Wanting things wasn't a mistake. Wanting money, love, growth is completely normal with having human body, because where will this vast consciousness go if not express itself through using? So we want to use our powers, we want to use this vast awareness that we have. But you actually expected physical trophy to fix an empty feeling inside your cockpit. So you won the game, got the prize, woke up the next day, next morning, feeling empty again, because you're trying to fill the gap. You're trying, because when you don't really realize, when you don't recognize the awareness, the infinite conscious that is flowing through you, you're gonna look for it outside, right? Outside, by chasing goals, winning achievement, winning trophies. But the next morning looks something different. No, it looks empty. It feels empty. It feels like, okay, I don't feel it in my vein. I don't feel it in my body right now. I need to earn more. I need to do more. I need to give more. I need to chase more. But it's never going to fill that gap. But knowing that you are already complete, you are already enough, because you are not the instrument. You are the awareness. You are the awareness. But that feeling won't go away by saying that you are complete. You still need to express yourself. That's what we are here for. We are not here for creating something new, because everything you're seeing is already so complete within itself. It doesn't complain. The trees you see, it doesn't complain that it's not tall, it's not short, it's not this, it's not that. It's not complaining. It is so perfect within itself. So, how do you actually stop running this exhausting survival script? How do we finally bridge the gap between the body and the soul in our daily lives? The bridge I said you're looking for is simply your own awareness, is simply the recognition of your own self, that you're aware, that you are already. So there's no lack, zero lack inside of you. So every lack you see, the biological lack, the hunger, the it's your instrument. It's how your instrument have been made. It's how your instrument have been programmed. It's been made because the universe itself is going undergoing changes. So is your body, so is your instrument, right? But your awareness, it's just untouchable. It doesn't get affected by anything. So your body just get affected. Everything moving on this planet is swimming in the same exact ocean of awareness. Their body are just translating it differently. I just explained. They are just translating it differently than our instrument. So everything your body mind produce is valid, because that's how your instrument have been made. It is your subconscious turning mental energy into physical action. So if your mind is confused, your body gets exhausted as well. That exhaustion is just a valid, dashboard alert telling you to stop driving your ship straight into a wall. You stop the script by stepping back, by acknowledging your true intention before taking any action. So think about going to the gym before you work out, before you pick up a weight. Check your intention. If your goal is to build a physique just to show off, that intention is driven entirely by attachment to your physical shell. Any intention that makes you want to hold on to it, makes you want to fear losing it, is somehow, you know, exhausting you within. It's somehow, that you are trapped. You're trapped Now, knowing that you're trapped is where things come to an end. So you know that you are chasing something, and you stop, you pause, you look at it and say, okay, that is it, that is what I have been following or chasing, but I will not, because if I'm complete, I want to look at it differently. I want to just focus on experience itself, not just the attachment to attachment to anything. When we attach our self-worth to instruments or materialistic things in this world, naturally we start to worry about losing it, worry about it may leave us. But that intention is what we call ego driven goals, attaching ourselves entirely to things that we know is not really permanent. We know that it is not immortal. So that is natural. But if you want to end that thing, end that loop, end that exhaustion, you want to come to that sense that your intention, that you want to come to that sense that when you recognize things like that, when you recognize the intention that is driven by attachment to the instrument itself, you want to step back, you want to pause, and you want to look at it, and you want to say, okay, I finally recognize this, and I want to just experience, focus on experiencing. So your intention naturally changes, so is does your direction towards a goal.